Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of A Sarcastic Mind. Today we're going to be going over the 2018 Cartoon March Madness Tournament. Spent the last few days putting this thing together, so join me and let's see who comes out on top of this epic matchup. So the way that we kind of determined this was based on cultural influence, how popular it was at its peak, designated regions. So if it fits that region, you might have a more popular show, but because it's in a different region, it might be a little bit lower. And then, of course, just my personal opinion. So save all the death threats and the hate mail. Okay, it's just for fun. Okay, it shouldn't bottle you up inside and make you feel differently about you as a human being. Just let's have fun with it. So let's first go into the old school region. So in this region, we're going to have Looney Tunes as the number 1 seed. They're going to be going up against the number 16 seed, Jonny Quest. Jonny Quest, if you're not familiar, he is like a James Bond, but a kid. And he goes around fighting crime and preventing natural disaster. Well, not natural disaster, like national disasters. Natural disasters, if he could do that, that would be pretty cool. If he could just stop an earthquake from happening, like push the plates back together. On to the next matchup. Number 8, Garfield and Friends going up against Rocky and Bullwinkle. This is going to be 2 pairs of animals going at it, deathmatch style. A cat and a dog versus a flying squirrel and a moose. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. Number 5, the Jetsons versus number 12, Fat Albert. This is going to be an interesting matchup because it's 2 very different cartoons. Yes, I probably should have left out the Cosby part because he's not too popular right now, but I didn't want to punish Fat Albert and the rest of the kids, so they get in the field as the 12 seed. And from a very far away place, the Smurfs are coming in at the number 4 seed. They'll be taking on everyone's favorite sailor, 13 seed Popeye. Now, I know what you're thinking. Popeye's super strong. If he has any bit of spinach, he's going to tear up the Smurfs. Look at those forearms. But the Smurfs, what they lack in individual strength, they make up for in group size. So they could maybe jump on each other's shoulders and fight off Popeye. It's going to be an interesting matchup, so I'm looking forward to that one. Number 6 seed, Peanuts versus School of Rock at the 11th seed. This one I could see an upset. This is an upset special right here. Everyone loves Peanuts, but Schoolhouse of Rock is it's kind of got that cult following, so it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Number 3 seed, one of my favorite cartoons growing up, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? A group of sleuths go around solving crimes and preventing basically just old people taking over amusement parks mainly. But they're a formidable group. And they'll be going up against number 14, another Crime Stopper, and Inspector Gadget. I was never really a big fan of Inspector Gadget. It had a cool theme song and a cool villain, but other than that, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Number 7 seed, Tom and Jerry going up against Alvin and the Chipmunks. This is another animal battle royale. A cat and mouse are going to have to team up to take on these chipmunks who like to sing. Alvin likes to get in trouble. We're going to have to see if all that trouble comes back to haunt him. But I think that's a very interesting matchup. Number 2 seed, the Flintstones will be going up against Mighty Mouse. I don't see this being much of a challenge for the Flintstones, but you never know in a tournament like this. Crazy things can happen. And here's some of the ones that missed the cut. Yogi Bear, Danger Mouse, and Muppet Babies. I wanted to put Muppet Babies in there so bad because I remember it as a kid, but to me, it just didn't make the cut. So let's take one final look at the old school region. If I'm having to pick a dark horse in this region, I'm probably going to go... I think for the most part, the higher seeds are gonna be there at the end. But if I had to pick one, I'm probably gonna go Schoolhouse of Rock. or Schoolhouse Rock. I don't know, something about that name. First off, I can't get it right, so that to me shows that they're on the right path. Let's move on to the next region, which is Comedy Region. So the number 1 seed in this region is SpongeBob SquarePants. He'll be going up against the number 16 seed Freakazoid. This is going to be a tough matchup for Freakazoid, even though he's super fast and he's really funny. SpongeBob is a master of manipulation, and I think that he is going to look what he's done to Patrick over the years. I think he's going to come out on top. Number 8 seed Recess going up against number 9 DuckTales. DuckTales is, I'm more familiar with DuckTales. Anytime you have a guy that can swim around in gold, I mean, just think about the core strength that would take. I'm going to lean towards DuckTales, but this is going to be a good matchup. Number 5 seed Rugrats going up against number 12 seed Bobby's World. This is another upset special for me. I just, if I'm just going into it blind, I look at the 2 pictures. On one side, you got Bobby, cute little kid. He's got huge feet for some reason, and his shirt could be a little bit longer. But other than that, cute kid. And then you look over at Rugrats, looks like a bunch of freaks that escaped the circus, and they're terrifying. If you look at those 2 twins, they are terrifying. So I think that the cuteness factor is going to push Bobby onto the next round. Number 4 seed, Dexter's Laboratory, a cute little nerd who sits in his laboratory all day coming up with weird experiments, going up against Ren and Stimpy. This almost made the late night category, but I thought it was better placed here. So, again, I would not be surprised to see Ren and Stimpy make it to the next round. Number 6, The Real Ghostbusters up against number 11 seed Adventure Time. Real Ghostbusters, again, one of my personal favorites. I had all of the toys growing up as a kid. I had the Proton Pack, the Ecto-1 car, the building that they worked out of. I had all of it, and I loved it. I had all the action figures. In fact, one of the times I got in pretty big trouble was before my birthday. I wanted to open up a gift, and my mom said, no, you're gonna have to wait. And so I was like, well, I shouldn't have to wait. My birthday's in 2 days. So I ended up opening up a gift. It was a Peter Venkman Real Ghostbusters toy, and I ended up getting in trouble. They took the toy back, and I didn't get to play with them. So that's how that works. That's called discipline, and that's called living with your mistakes. And I've never forgotten it and never will. Number 3 seed, Tiny Toon Adventures, is going to be taking on number 14 seed, The Tick. As much as I love The Tick, I can't see them coming out on top in this matchup. Tiny Toons just has too much going for it. Just Elvira alone, or Elmira, she will squeeze the life out of anything breathing that resembles an animal, so watch out. Let's move on to the last foursome in this group. Number 7 seed, Hey Arnold versus Pinky and the Brain at the 10 spot. This is going to be an interesting matchup because they're 2 different cartoons, and I could see it going in a couple different ways, obviously, because there's 2 teams. But I'm interested to see how this one plays out. I think it could come down to just sheer will, and in that case, I would have to stick with Pinky and the Brain. But again, never count out Hey Arnold and his group of friends. Number 2 seed, Animaniacs. From what I hear, they're zany to the max. So if you get that reference, then thank you. If you didn't, then just fast forward. Number 15 seed, Rocko's Modern Life, will be taking them on. And again, I like Animaniacs in this matchup. I just think that they're too witty and they're too cute. Look at them just sitting there contemplating what else they're going to get into. So that is the bracket for the comedy region. Let's look at the ones that missed the cut. You got Johnny Bravo, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Tasmania, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice was probably the closest to making it in the field out of this group. Also, Tailspin was one that I wanted to put in there, but can only put 16 teams, so some of them had to get left out. Here's another look at that region, and I think this is going to be the region where you see the most upsets. I just think there's a lot of lower seeds that could really make some noise. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go Bobby's World. I think Bobby's World could go to the Sweet 16 in this region, and I think that they could give SpongeBob a run. Now, another one that I could see is maybe Ren and Stimpy. I think Bobby's World and Ren and Stimpy, those two shows are really going to battle it out, and one of them is going to go to the Sweet 16, I think. Let's move on to the action region. Number 1 seed, Batman, the animated series, going up against number 16 seed, Captain Planet and the Planeteers. I think it goes without saying who's the cooler superhero, but, now that everybody cares about the environment, you never know. Captain Planet might sneak up on Batman. You can never be too sure of anything. Number 8 seed, Batman Beyond, going up against number 9 seed, G.I. Joe. Another classic matchup. Interested to see how this one turns out. It's going to be kind of that new school superhero going up against the old school, man, the oldest of schools as far as heroes go. So, again, this is one that I'm going to be keeping my eye out for. Number 5 seed, Pokemon, going on to face number 12 seed, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Pokemon was a phenomenon. It probably should have been a little bit higher in my ranking, but they fall to the number 5 spot because they just creep me out. And number 12 seed, He-Man, I would love to see He-Man squash them. It's going to be a tough road. Another quick story about He-Man, also one of my favorite cartoons. When I was a little kid, I used to come in every day. Mom would have a little piece of fruit, maybe a banana, maybe some grapes, an orange, something like that. I'd go and I'd grab it. I'd say, "Thanks, Mom." And I'd go and I'd sit down on the floor and watch He-Man, Masters of the Universe. That was until one day He-Man fought something that kind of resembled the devil. And my mom and dad were like, "I don't think you should watch He-Man anymore. He's fighting Satan." So I didn't get to watch He-Man anymore. But just in case they don't know, I was watching it on the sly without them knowing. So what's up? Number 4 seed, Transformers, going up against number 13 seed, Thundercats. These teams are very similar. They run similar styles. Their star players are champions in their own right. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. I'm looking for a close matchup in this one. Number 6 seed, Powerpuff Girls, going up against number 11 seed, Justice League Unlimited. Again, two powerhouses. I'm interested to see how this plays out with all the DC fanboys, if they push it over the top, or if maybe the girl power comes out and puts Powerpuff Girls on in the next round. They will face the winner of number 3 seed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the number 14 seed Teen Titans, which is basically Justice League, but when they're little kids. That's not actually accurate. Teen Titans are completely different people. Like Cyborg is in there, but he's in both. I don't really want to get into too big of a discussion about it, but all you know is Robin's the leader. So if that tells you anything. They're going up against 4 turtles who find themselves in slime, radioactive slime, I think, and they somehow run into a rat, and the rat teaches them kung fu. So, real coming of age story. I think that cartoon was actually based on real events. So, history buffs and things like that, that could push them onto the next round, I think. Number 7 seed, Spider-Man, going up against number 10 seed, Dragon Ball Z. Again, really looking forward to this matchup. I like Spider-Man in this matchup, but look at the hair on Dragon Ball Z, guys. I mean, there's aliens in there. They've all got mohawks or they're bald, so you know that they're super formidable. It's going to be a close one in that matchup. Number 2 seed, X-Men, going up against number 15 seed, Darkwing Duck. And yes, I probably should have put Darkwing Duck in the comedy region, but I felt like he deserved to be in the tournament, and it was easier putting him in the action region to make sure he found a spot. So, again, he should probably be in another region and maybe higher, but it's just, it's what happens, okay? When you do something like this, people get left behind. And I'm not happy about it, but it's just the way of life. Here are some of the ones that missed the cut: Sailor Moon, Mighty Max, Kim Possible, and Gargoyles. I'm not sure if anybody really knows about Mighty Max, but he has this special hat that he wears and a huge M on his shirt, kind of like a scarlet letter, but it means something completely different. Here's another look at that region, the action region. I think that most of the heavy hitters are going to move on. I don't really see a dark horse really taking over this bracket, but who knows? Anything can happen when you put these titans, these champions of justice against each other. Let's move on to the last region, the late night region. This is going to be your adult cartoons, the ones that maybe our parents didn't really want us watching, but we watched anyway. So number 1 seed, The Simpsons. They'll be taking on number 16 seed, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Again, I don't see Aqua Teen making much of a game out of this one, but who knows? Anything can and probably will, but not in this case, happen. Number 8 seed, Futurama, taking on number 9, Robot Chicken. I'm excited to see how this one plays out. 2 different fan bases, I think, and it's just really going to depend on who votes in this tournament to see who goes on to the next round. Number 5 seed, Rick and Morty, going up against number 12 seed, Venture Brothers. Rick and Morty's coming on strong. They've only been around a few seasons. In a couple years, they'll probably be way higher seeded in this tournament. But right now, they're a 5 seed, and I could see them making a lot of noise in this bracket. They'll be facing... the winner of their matchup will face either number 4 seed Beavis and Butthead or number 13 seed Daria, both MTV classics. This is when MTV was at its best. Daria, more of like a real life type cartoon, and Beavis and Butthead, of course, just out of control, over the top. Really kind of set the tone for what can be done on cable television in the animated space. Number 6 seed, King of the Hill, going up against number 11 seed, Bob's Burgers. Again, I think this is going to be a really great matchup. I tried to put I tried to seed him the best I could, but when I could see a good matchup, I went with that too. And I think these two are going to be closely represented in their matchup. Number 3 seed, Family Guy, and 14 seed, Space Ghost. If you're not familiar with Space Ghost, go to YouTube and check out some of the old clips. It's a really cool cartoon. It's like a Johnny Carson or Dave Letterman or Jay Leno, but animated. He has guests on all the time, and they talk about different stuff. So it's really cool. Number 7 seed, Archer, going up against number 10 seed, the Boondocks. I'm not real familiar with the Boondocks, but Archer to me is hilarious. I know that the Boondocks has a very cult following, and a lot of people are very passionate about Boondocks. So I think this matchup is going to be a really close one too. They'll be the winner of that will face either number 2 seed South Park or number 15 seed F is for Family. South Park, I grew up watching South Park. It was definitely one where the first time I watched it, I had to change the channel within the first 10 minutes because I can't remember the episode, but I've been watching it since the beginning, and I still, to this day, it cracks me up. I'm pulling for South Park to come out of this region. I hope that they can make it that far, and then who knows what can happen in the Final Four. So here's some cartoons that missed the cut. BoJack Horseman, Little Bush, Brickleberry, and The Critic. BoJack Horseman, it came down to that and F is for Family for one of the last spots. I watched an episode of both, and I thought that F is for Family was better, so I went with that. I wanted so bad to put The Critic in. I love The Critic. It's the character is voiced by John Lovitz. He's a film critic, and I don't think it gets enough love, and it just missed out. It probably it was that and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and I just kind of, the more I think back on it, I probably should have put The Critic in. But again, that's my personal bias. So that's the late night region. Let's take one last look at it before we go. Again, I think most of the heavy hitters are gonna move on in this side of the bracket. Dark horse is Rick and Morty. I just think they're really hot right now. I think a lot of people are on that bandwagon. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out. So you can follow the show in a number of ways. We're on Twitter at Pod of Sarcasm, Facebook. You see the link right there. Instagram, same thing. You can find the show on iTunes. We just got on iTunes, so make sure if you have iTunes, you go subscribe to the show, rate. Leave a comment. Let us know how you feel about the show. Don't just go there and put a 5-star and say it's good. Like, let us know what you think of the show. We're on Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts. We're on that directory. So if you get a chance, check out the show. Tell us what you think. And we will have links to all the pages below. So thank you very much for taking the time, and we will see you next time. Thank you.